suspended indefinitely. Their names no longer appeared in the system directory, their offices locked down and sealed for audit. Yet power, Maya knew, never just disappears. It shifts. It waits. It searches for cracks. Maya walked into the 24th floor conference room for an unscheduled internal compliance meeting. At the head of the table sat Dr. Amal Farid, who had assumed interim oversight of internal risk management. Next to her were Veronica, Angelina, and two newly introduced partners, one from Dubai, the other from Houston. Amal started the session with clarity. We've removed two of the firm's most senior figures in less than 2 weeks. That creates a vacuum, and vacuums attract opportunists. Maya nodded. We can't allow the structural weaknesses they exploited to remain. If we only remove faces but keep the systems that protected them, we've done nothing. Veronica added, we need to rebuild with transparency from the inside out. That means redefining oversight processes, real compliance, and non-performative. The Dubai partner, a lean man in a tailored navy suit, leaned forward. And it means some uncomfortable conversations. There are still stakeholders who supported Warren and Covington. The Houston partner, older and more grounded, spoke softly. People don't betray institutions by accident. They do it because they think no one's watching. Maya tapped her notebook. Then let's make watching a policy, not a reaction. By noon, the team had sketched the first draft of a new compliance framework. Mandatory quarterly audits with third-party oversight, anonymous whistleblower channels with guaranteed legal protection, and a rotating ethics committee with cross-departmental representation. It was radical, and it was necessary. Later that afternoon, Maya met privately with Veronica in her office. Veronica closed the door and offered her a seat. You've changed the rhythm of this place, Maya. People talk differently now. They listen. I didn't do it alone. No, Veronica admitted. But you were the match, and now you need to decide what kind of fire you want to light next. Maya exhaled. The Sheikh offered me a permanent role, strategic ethics advisor. Veronica raised an eyebrow. And? I haven't decided. Because? Because staying means committing to a system I've only just started to trust, and leaving means walking away from the work that matters. Veronica leaned back. You know what I think? I think the system's only as honest as the people willing to stay and fix it. And you? You're honest. That evening, Maya took the subway to Brooklyn to a community center where she used to volunteer. She hadn't been back in years. The center looked nearly the same. Peeling paint, loud kids, metal chairs in the foyer, but the energy was familiar. She found Mr. Duncan, the retired teacher who once ran after-school programs there. Maya? He asked, adjusting his glasses. Hi, Mr. Duncan. It's been a while. You look like someone who's been fighting dragons, maybe just their accountants. He laughed, a deep, crackling sound. Still sharp. Come in. They sat in his small office where walls were lined with old photos of students and volunteers. Maya explained what had happened, the whistleblowing, the contracts, the stolen funds meant for tribal communities. When she finished, Duncan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You remind me of your father. You know that? He never raised his voice unless it was for someone else." Maya looked down. I just wish he could see it. Oh, I think he does. As she left the center, Maya paused by the wall near the exit. There was an old photo from 20 years ago. A group of volunteers with fists raised in front of a mural. There, on the far right, was a teenage Maya beside her father, both grinning wide. She smiled. Some legacies didn't need monuments. Back at her apartment that night, Maya finally opened the envelope the sheik had given her. The offer was generous, more than she had ever imagined earning. But it wasn't the money that struck her. It was the letter inside, handwritten, Miss Williams, in the stories my grandfather told me, justice was always slow but inevitable. He said, the ones who light candles in dark rooms are the ones we remember. You lit a candle here. Stay, help us keep it burning. Hassan. The next morning, Maya walked into the sheik's office before the board convened. He looked up from his desk, surprised but calm. I accept, she said. His eyes twinkled. Then, let us begin. At the meeting that followed, Maya was introduced not just as an advisor, but as a permanent voice on the Strategic Ethics Panel, a role created in her name. 00:55:58 909 00:56:42 409, Speaker 0. Applause followed. Not thunderous, but sincere. Even some who once doubted her nodded with respect. And when the meeting closed and everyone filtered out into the hallways of marble and glass, Maya stayed behind. She looked at the empty boardroom, the place where lies had once sat dressed in suits and silk, and smiled. There was still so much work to do, but for once, power was on the side of truth. Maya Williams stepped back into the grand lobby of the Empire Grand Hotel with a sense of quiet purpose. Gone was the staff lanyard that once defined her. Now, replaced by a badge identifying her as Strategic Ethics Advisor for Rashid Capitals, American Operations. She paused beneath the crystal chandelier, breathing in the mingled scent of fresh flowers and polished marble. Every detail of this place bore witness to her journey from carrying trays to shaping policy, and she carried the weight of that transformation with gratitude. Miss Williams, a familiar voice called. It was Carmen, the housekeeper who cheered Maya on from day one. She stood near the concierge desk holding a small wrapped gift. When their eyes met, Carmen's broad grin lit up her warm face. You did it, Carmen said simply, handing over the package. It was a delicate wooden jewelry box scented faintly of sandalwood. Carmen. Open it, she urged. You've earned it. Maya lifted the lid. Inside lay a brass token etched with the words, Voice of Integrity, encircled by Arabic calligraphy. Caught between surprise and emotion, Maya held it close. Carmen reached out and squeezed her hand. This belongs to you, Carmen said, from everyone upstairs who says thank you. Maya swallowed. She'd never thought she'd be honored for stepping forward, but here she was in a place that had first overlooked her, now revering her courage. That afternoon, she sat in the concierge lounge with Veronica Ellison. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, lighting the steam off their tea. They're planning a plaque, Veronica whispered, in the lobby, in your honor. Maya blinked. A plaque? Veronica nodded. Under your brass token, they want the inscription to read, saved by a voice that refused to stay silent. It'll be visible to every guest who enters. Maya felt a warmth deep in her chest. She pictured travelers, executives, visitors pausing, reading those words, perhaps remembering that it's never too late to speak up. That evening, the construction crew came in. Quietly. They placed a small brass plaque at the base of the concierge desk. Evening light caught its native shine as Maya communities in Minnesota and Arizona have been informed. Her phone buzzed. They're mobilizing a message from Amal. Monitoring teams. You started something bigger than us. Maya closed her eyes and exhaled. Slowly. This wasn't just corporate change. It was real-world justice reaching distant corners. Clean water, accountability, broken promises being mended. A week later, Maya attended the public unveiling of the plaque. A small crowd gathered, employees, golf partners, journalists, hotel guests. A golf board member gave a short speech, voice full of gratitude. Then Veronica invited Maya forward. Cameras clicked. Microphones caught her smiling face. She cleared her throat. I don't know what size this plaque is, Maya began, but I know what size our voices can be no matter where we come from. No matter what we do, a maid can carry a message. A maid can ask a question. And that's where courage starts. She looked out at the faces, some curious, some emotional. This plaque isn't mine. It belongs to every person here who chooses clarity over convenience. Justice over silence, truth over comfort. Let it remind us, when you speak someone listens. Polite applause turned into genuine ovation. Cameras snapped. The lights reflected off the plaque, casting warm tones across hopeful faces. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Carmen hugged Maya tightly. You did it, she whispered again. Maya nodded. We did it. That night. She sat on her rooftop in Queens, the city's lights sprawling like stars at her feet. She held the brass token and scrolled through texts, messages of support from colleagues, tribe leaders, former classmates, even her mother's old friend calling to congratulate her. Somewhere in the city, water was being tested. Somewhere, someone was finally heard. Maya smiled and tucked the token into her pocket beside her father's compass. She looked up at the moon, clear and steadfast. Her journey hadn't ended. It was just beginning. The plaque and the accolades were proof that integrity has a place in towers of glass and steel, but real power? That lived in quiet persistence, hard choices, and the courage to speak when silence seemed easier. The wind stirred, and Maya closed her eyes. This city would always hum with ambition, noise, compromise. But one voice heard had risen above it, and in that echo, others found their strength. Spring sunlight filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Rashid Capitals Executive Lounge, catching motes of dust that floated over the polished mahogany table. Maya Williams sat between Sheikh Hassan al-Rashid and Veronica Ellison. The newly formed Ethics Council gathered around them. Today's agenda, formalizing the new Integrity Charter and adapting it to projects beyond the U.S. Maya's heart pounded as she reviewed her testament to how far she'd come from wiping lobbies to shaping corporate philosophy. Sheikh Hassan cleared his throat. We have seen how one voice changed our course. Now, we must ensure that voice becomes a chorus. He glanced at Maya. The Integrity Charter, will you present its framework? Maya rose, feeling the council's attention lock on her. She clicked a remote and the screen displayed the charter's key pillars: transparency, accountability, inclusivity, cultural sensitivity, and community partnership. She pointed to each icon. Transparency requires open reporting of redirected funds and accessible audit trails. Accountability means no one, regardless of rank, outside our ethics walls. Inclusivity ensures teams reflect diverse perspectives. Cultural sensitivity mandates review from local stakeholders before contracts sign. And community partnership commits a percentage of profits to original project communities. Veronica added, this charter also includes mandatory training for all levels and an anonymous reporting hotline monitored by the Ethics Council. Sheikh Hassan nodded thoughtfully. A bold charter. What do you anticipate will be its greatest challenge? Maya paused. Resistance from those accustomed to opacity. Some board members see this as bureaucracy. Some regional teams may view transparency as weakness. We must show them its strength. An American partner spoke up. How do we apply this globally, say in East Asia or Africa, without imposing American values? Maya answered. Carefully, we adapt the principles, not the intent. Cultural sensitivity means local councils review contracts before regions launch projects. Our goal isn't to enforce compliance, we enforce respect. A partner from Dubai raised a point. And whistleblower protections, will they include visas and relocation support? Maya had anticipated this. Yes, any reporter of misconduct will receive legal and financial support to relocate if needed. No fear of retaliation, no visa jeopardy. There was a moment of tense silence, then Sheikh Hassan said, this is more than policy, it is legacy. And if you believe in this, you will lead its oversight. Maya, will you serve as chair? Maya paused. The weight of the role pressed on her chest. She thought of her father's words, justice often begins with one mind willing to act. She looked at Veronica's supportive nod. I accept, she said softly. A murmured round of respect passed through the council. Veronica reached out and squeezed her hand. As the council disbanded, Maya was met by Amal and Angelina in the hallway. Amal's eyes glowed. You did it. Angelina raised her phone. Board minutes say you're now chair of Ethics Global Oversight. Maya exhaled. That means responsibility beyond these walls. Yes, Amal said, but also means we change more than one deal. That evening, Maya returned to her Brooklyn apartment. She carried an envelope with official council stationery. Inside, her appointment letter and the printed final integrity charter. She placed it on the bookshelf beside her father's compass and the brass token. A moment of quiet pride settled over her, then the phone rang. Veronica. Are you free tomorrow morning? Her voice crackled over the line. For breakfast? Yes, we'll meet the leaders of the Midwest Community Coalition. They want to define local oversight metrics for clean water projects. Maya smiled. I'd be honored. The next morning, Maya stood before a small circle of community leaders, tribal coordinators, environmental engineers, local educators, in a modest building in Minneapolis. They were here because projects tied to Rashid needed transparent metrics, and Maya's council aimed to deliver that. She spoke plainly. We want your input. How do we know funds reach the wells? How do we measure sustainability? How should the board be accountable? An elder named Thomas Gray Eagle, speaking through a translator, nodded. We measure health, children's blood, school attendance, fish in the river. That is true impact. Maya scribbled diligently. Other leaders asked about financial reporting, quarterly town halls, oversight committees. A tribal teacher suggested youth apprenticeships tied to project maintenance. Each idea felt like building a bridge between boardrooms and living rooms. Back in the evening, Maya reviewed her notes, feeling a deeper sense of connection. The council's charter had taken root in policy, but here, it began to bloom in real lives. At midnight, Maya stepped onto her rooftop again. The city lights glimmered. She held the Integrity Charter in her hands, letters white and bold. We commit to justice through action. She closed her eyes and listened. City hum, distant siren, wind on brick. A part of her wondered. Could this ripple out beyond projects, beyond corporations? Could this be a model for systems everywhere? A distant church bell struck midnight, echoing back more than 12 hours. Maya whispered into the night, "We will see." The next morning would come, as it always did, and with it more contracts, more communities, more testings of the charter's strength. But for the first time she knew the threshold had been crossed. Integrity, once optional, was now foundational. And this time everyone could see it. The boardroom on the 37th floor was filled with city light. Though today, that brightness only underscored the seriousness in the air. Maya sat at the center of the ethics council panel, the Integrity Charter gleaming in front of her. Around the table, Gulf partners, regional managers, and corporate attorneys waited. This was the first quarterly review since the charter's implementation, and expectations were high. Maya opened the meeting with a nod. Thank you all for attending. Today, we'll hear reports not only on financial compliance, but also on how impact our projects affect communities, stakeholders, and partners. A regional director from West Africa, dressed in a crisp suit and patterned tie, was the first speaker. Our solar initiative in Ghana exceeded expectations. Thanks to your transparent bidding, local contractors were engaged. We funded junior engineers, and local schools have operational solar installations under student stewardship. Nods and murmurs of approval followed. The man smiled. We're creating accountability and opportunity. Maya spoke up. Thank you. Can you share the measurable metrics you use to demonstrate project success to stakeholders? He activated a slide: percent uptime, training hours, reports of school attendance, clean energy production compared to projected targets. Maya glanced at Sheila Carter, an NGO monitor present via video link from Nairobi. Sheila nodded. Their data model aligns with our oversight metrics choices. This is promising. Next, a representative from Texas spoke about clean water wells for a Navajo community. We tracked water pH monthly, tested nitrate levels, and asked locals to submit quarterly reports. We published results on a public portal. A Gulf partner leaned in. Published publicly? That's quite bold. The Texas manager replied, transparency builds trust, and trust builds sustainability. Maya acknowledged this. Now, let's address compliance issues observed this quarter. A compliance auditor stood. We flagged 5 contracts containing ambiguous clauses resembling override language. 4 have been resolved via clarification. 1 remains pending review with regional council. Maya traced her pen sharply. Which contract? A Southeast Asian logistics deal, he said. It still contains a clause allowing retroactive adjustment based on operational exigencies. Heads turned. Maya's heart thudded. This was the moment they'd warned about charter under pressure, where opacity returned. May I? she said and walked to the screen. Pulling the draft up, she read aloud, should operational exigencies arise, the provider will evaluate and adjust the agreement unilaterally. She stopped. That's override by another name, a Gulf Council. Interjected quietly, but operational exigencies exist. Yes, Maya agreed. But not without mutual review. We need a revision. Specify triggers, define mutual deliberation, set sunset clauses. A debate followed. Attorneys worried legal complexity. Regional teams cited local regulations. Maya listened, then addressed them all. We drafted this charter to uphold integrity. Without clarity, regulations become loopholes. Silence. Then the Gulf partner spoke. I propose a pilot amendment. Adjust this clause to include explicit approval from both regional oversight and local community council. Let's monitor its effect. Maya nodded. Agreed. And we'll review the results next quarter. The meeting closed with votes taken, smiles shared, and a sense of cautious accomplishment. That evening, Maya returned to Brooklyn to a community fundraiser for a new water study in Minnesota. Veronica was there, greeting attendees. Maya spotted a tribal elder she'd met in Minneapolis. It was their third initiative together they embraced. The elder whispered, "The well is clean now. Children drink." They laugh again. Maya's eyes filled. That's your work. We did it together, the elder replied. Maya looked around the hall. Volunteers, fiscal analysts, smiling families. Integrity wasn't just on paper. It was echoing across towns, schools, nations. Back home, Maya prepared for a late-night call. It was Elijah Rowe, whose retired life had resumed, but whose influence was far from gone. They're using your model in 2 African solar bids, he said proudly. Transparency measures baked into contracts. It spread, Maya. She paused. We've crossed a line where trust became transactional. He laughed. You turned your echo into a wave. Maya smiled. Her father's compass and her brass token sat together on her desk, symbols of direction and integrity. She looked out at the city, where lights shimmered like promises. This wasn't just a campaign. It was a movement that had begun when a maid spoke up and now carried across oceans. A low spring rain drizzled over Manhattan as Maya Williams stepped off the elevator and entered the lean, high-ceilinged boardroom. Today's meeting agenda was unexpectedly brief. She had called it herself the board's newest directive hung in the air, piloting an integrity council model for other firms and nonprofits. Maya's heart pounded, knowing this marked a new phase. Veronica arrived moments later and gave Maya a reassuring nod. The room filled quickly with partners, compliance officers, and 2 external consultants from major foundations. Maya opened with a calm breath. Thank you all for joining on short notice. We stand at a juncture not just of ethics within our organization, but at a point to demonstrate leadership across our industry. She clicked to the first slide. Phase 1. Confidential rollout within sister firms. The slide displayed a simple plan of pilot councils embedded in Al Rashid's regional offices across Asia and Africa. Below, bullet points read: shared reporting platform, community engagement metrics, and annual transparency awards. Veronica followed. We've already seeded the pilot in Nairobi and Singapore. Initial results show a 40% decrease in contract disputes and increased local hiring. Murmurs rose around the